Hello everyone. In this video, we are talking about rounds 4 through 6, where we're going to explore display ad campaigns. Now, if you recall from rounds 1 through 3, we were focusing on search ad campaigns. Here, our focus was on targeting keywords that people might be searching for online. For example, if someone typed in college backpack and then selected go, they would end up on the search ads results page. Okay, so they would start to see these search ads and they'd end up on the SERP, or the search engine results page. In comparison, display ads target audiences or topics and pages. And the ads are then shown on relevant websites when someone clicks on these ads, and they will then land on the landing page. One thing that you're going to find out during rounds 4 through 6 is that search ads and display ads will give you very different results. For example, search ads usually average around 4% click-through rate and conversion rate. In comparison, display ads will have a much larger amount of impressions, but very little click-through rate and conversion rate. In fact, the average is around 0.5%. The reason you're going to have higher click-through rate and conversion rate for search ad campaigns compared to display ad campaigns is because search advertisements have a higher purchase intention. So someone actually went on to Google and they searched for something online that they are therefore paying more attention to and actually seeking solutions. On the other hand, a display ad is targeting someone that is browsing the internet. For example, they might be reading an interesting article on their favorite news website, and you're trying to compete with the content on that page with your advertisement that, yes, they might find interesting, but they weren't actively seeking your content, and they might actually not be in the mood to buy or even read about your products. So they're way less likely to click on the ad or convert. Now, you might be thinking, what? Why would we even bother with display ads when search ads seem to give us so much better results? Well, display ads allow you to cast a wide net and has a high reach to potential customers. In fact, the Google Display Network consists of over 2 million websites and apps that reach around 90% of internet users. You therefore want to be thinking about the entire marketing funnel in your marketing strategy. Display ads are useful for top-of-funnel activities where you want to build awareness about your brand and get more customers aware of your existence. The single biggest predictor of whether people will purchase is whether they've heard of you before. No one's likely to buy from you if they've never even heard of your product or your brand name ever before. So now that we've explored some of these key differences between search ads and display ads, let's go ahead and jump into what it is that we are doing in rounds 4 through 6. So in round 4, you're going to start off by creating an interest-based display ad campaign for your American Dream backpack and some other campaigns as well, which you can see in your inbox. Now, what this means is that instead of focusing on keywords now, you're going to start thinking more about your target customer personas and what they're doing online, what are their interests, what are their behaviors, where can you reach them and how. In round 5, you're going to create a retargeting display ad campaign. This is where you will specifically show ads to people who have visited your site before, and you'll be able to target specifically if they added a product to their cart and other actions that you find valuable or relevant. Then in round 6, you're going to optimize all of your campaigns to maximize your revenue and return on ad spend. To get started, you're going to click the new ad campaign button, and that will bring you to your campaign editor. Okay, so for campaign type, should be clear that we're doing display ads. And for your campaign goals, you should refer to your round instructions. Now, I'm not going to actually read these to you, but you do have 2 messages in your inbox that you need to address and work on in this round. So we can see here in this first email, the example that you've been given a revenue goal. Okay, so you should choose a campaign goal that aligns with that. For the campaign name, you want to think about what you're promoting, okay? So you can see information about that in your instructions again. And in our first email from Brock, one of the campaigns that you'll create is for the American Dream backpack. However, do not forget to read the medical leave email help email, because this tells you also about some other product lines that you want to allocate some of your budget for to create some other campaigns as well. Okay. For your daily budget, remember to use all of your budget for the round, which is shown on the left-hand side menu and the inbox as well. And you'll be able to adjust your search ad campaign budgets and reallocate everything to be giving you the best results. So you get to determine, which campaign gets how much money and so forth. So you should do that based on the previous videos I explained to you about looking at your metrics, seeing which is performing the best, and reallocating your budget accordingly. When determining your daily budget, just remember that there are typically 30 days in a month. So divide the total budget that you want per campaign by 30 to get your daily budget. For your default CPC, you can leave this blank because you'll want to choose a CPC for each ad group based on some calculations, which we will be covering later in this video. Now, remember that you can always create your ad groups at the campaign level by clicking the little plus button to expand it and then clicking Create Ad Group. Okay, so let's go through the steps of creating an ad group together. For your ad group name, you want to consider what your campaign was about. So if your campaign is for the American Dream backpack, then look back at who you targeted for this campaign. So who were your personas? For example, I have here Heidi Klum as my back to school Mindy. Okay, so if you have an ad group for her persona, then in your search campaign, then it would make sense for you to make an ad group in your display ad campaign for back to school Mindy. Now, another thing that we're going to learn later in this video is that we can create multiple ad groups per persona to get more targeted options and get more data from testing. Okay, so we can basically have back to school Mindy, back to school Mindy, back to school Mindy, but just with different targeting options. And we'll look closely at that in a little bit. Now, for your default CPC, you want to pull out a calculator because we're going to be looking at several metrics and numbers to determine what CPC will be cost effective. So remember, our goal in this simulation and in any business is to make a profit. So we have to think about the products that we're selling, how much we make by selling these products, and what our ads are costing us. The default CPC here is basically saying, what is the maximum cost per click that you will pay for this ad group, right? What makes sense? So we're going to have to calculate our break-even point, right? What is the maximum that we can spend on this ad group without losing money? So our break-even cost per click can be calculated in a kind of series of calculations. So first, we want to determine what our profit per unit is. So this is how much you earn after selling one product, considering its production cost. Since this round, we're focusing on the American Dream backpack. You can find this out in your resources tab in Stukent. And the formula would look like this. So we have our retail price, we get $65 when someone buys it, minus our production cost of $8, means that we get a profit of $57. So that means that we're getting $57 in profit for each backpack that we sell, assuming that we haven't had any other costs yet. Once we know our profit per unit is $57 for the American Dream backpack, we then want to know our daily sales to break even. This is the minimum number of products that you will need to sell each day to cover your daily advertising budget. So let's assume that our daily budget that we've decided is $114 for a simpler math calculation. So here's what that would look like. If our daily budget is $114 for this campaign, then we would divide that by our profit per unit, which we just calculated, that was $57. And we would determine that that's 2 sales per day. So what does this mean? It means that we need to get 2 sales per day to break even if our daily budget was $114 for the American Dream backpack display ad campaign. So once we know our profit per unit is $57 for the American Dream backpack, and we know our daily sales required to break even based on our daily budget, then we want to calculate the clicks per conversion. This is the number of clicks that you need to get one sale. And we can calculate the number of clicks needed for one sale as 1 divided by the conversion rate. Now, since this is our first time doing a display ad campaign, we don't actually know what our conversion rate is. Remember that our conversion rate for display ads is going to be very different from our search ads. So if you want to look at the resources tab, you can see some information about their legacy line, but this says legacy. And we just found out in this round that American Dream is not legacy, right? It looks like it's something different because there's the legacy line and there's also the American Dream line. So it's not a little bit clear as far as the materials they've given us. And we're doing our campaign right now on the American Dream line, okay? And it doesn't specify also if this conversion rate that they've said is for display, search, or shopping ads, or across all three. So we don't actually have a conversion rate yet for our American Dream backpack. What we can do is use industry averages, okay? So for example, the average conversion rate for a display ad is around 0.59%. And to be more conservative, we can assume that this is 0.5%. Okay, so we're going to use that in our calculation. Remember, the formula was one sale divided by our 0.005 because it was a 0.5% conversion rate, and that would equal 200 clicks per conversion. What does this mean? It means that we need 200 clicks to get one sale with the metrics that we've just discussed so far. So once we know that our profit per unit is $57 for the American Dream backpack, and we know that our daily sales required to break even based on our daily budget, and we know that we need 200 clicks to make a sale, then we need to calculate our daily clicks needed. This is the total number of clicks that you need to get the number of sales that will cover your daily budget. And we can calculate it as daily sales to break even. Okay, so we had 2 sales times the clicks per conversion, which was the 200 clicks, and that equals 400 clicks per day. What does this mean? It means that we're going to need 400 clicks per day to break even with our daily budget of $114. So remember, these are going to change every time you adjust your daily budget and you adjust your assumed conversion rate. So let's continue. Once we know our profit per unit is $57 for the American Dream backpack, and we know our daily sales required to break even based on our daily budget, and we know that we need 200 clicks to make a sale, and we know that we need to get 400 clicks per day to break even with our daily budget of $114, then we finally need to calculate the max cost per click. And this is the maximum amount that you can pay for each click on your ad without losing money. Okay, so the formula here for our daily budget, remember $114 divided by the daily clicks needed, which was 400 clicks. And that equals roughly 29 cents, so 28.5 cents. And that's our CPC. So what does this mean? Okay, we went through all these calculations and we've determined that with these calculations, with the $114 daily budget, the assumed 0.5% conversion rate, we assume from all of that that for every click on your ad, you should not pay more than approximately 29 cents to ensure that your daily sales cover your advertising costs, right? That's our break-even point. But remember, we do not just want to break even, right? We want to actually make a profit too. So you do have to balance this out and try to find a cost per click that is still competitive so that you can win the ad auctions and yet not so high that you start to make a loss. By the way, the average CPC for display ads is around 63 cents. And it might be difficult for you to have a CPC of 29 cents, right? Which we just calculated. But we aren't sure about that yet because we don't actually know our conversion rate. Okay, so we won't know until we go through the rounds. But I would definitely recommend setting our CPC to be at a minimum break even and hopefully get a profit too. I will say from my experience in the simulation that I've tested out several different CPCs within it, and I've managed to get it down to as low as 10 cents with amazing results that gave me over $50,000 in revenue and significant profits. But this is going to depend on your product type, your persona, and other factors. Okay, so this is why you do need to get out the calculator and test it out, adjust it in each round. Remember, that's why we're practicing in each round, okay? Each round doesn't have to be your best performance. You're going to have some ups and downs, and that's totally normal. So try it out, grab your calculator, try going through these. You don't have it for all products. You only have it for the American Dream product. But you can, try your best to see where that break even point is and what your cost per click might be. Okay, so once we have set up our default CPC, again, it's a little tricky, but you can test it out and see what happens. You'll have to raise it or lower it depending on your results. We can consider other options. Okay, so in the simulation, we are given two basic options for our targeting: audience and demographics. So within audience, the first one is site visitor. Here, you're going to be able to do a retargeting campaign of past website visitors. Now, remember, remarketing audiences are people who have interacted with your business in some way, such as by visiting your website. And this is going to be available starting in round 5. So if you click the drop down in round 4, it's probably going to say, not available yet. So just ignore that one for now. Okay, the next one is our in-market audiences. And this looks at what audiences are actively researching products and services, and they're actively considering buying something like what you have to offer as they browse. So as the name suggests, right, in market, they are in the market to buy. So they are the people who are actively looking to buy a particular product or service. And this means that they're usually the middle of the funnel traffic because they've shown an interest in products. For the simulation, you will be given several options, okay, shown here. And you should explore this list of available in-market categories and think about if you were a seller of this category, right? Would it be beneficial to target people in the in-market segment for your persona? You have to think about each of your personas. So if you are trying to target up-and-comer Raj, well, we can see that he enjoys reading the news. Okay, so he would be a good fit here because we have news and politics that seems pretty clear. For hipster mommy Kami, it would be a good fit to do shopping, but it might be slightly more challenging if you are thinking her fashion hobby is also related to the beauty and wellness category. So if you ever want to test this out because you're kind of seeing multiple categories and you're not sure which one is going to be more effective, then what you can do is create 2 ad groups as a sort of A/B test. All right, so you could do one ad group with the affinity for shopping and one ad group with the affinity for beauty and wellness. And since it's an A/B test, what you would do is you would not change any of your ad copy or anything else. You'd keep everything the same. The only thing you would do is change this part of that ad group. And that way you could experiment and see which ad group gave better results and adjust it in the next round. Sorry. One thing that you have to be careful about when choosing audience options is that if you select more than one audience option type, for example, in-market and affinity group, then you might limit your audience and get less impressions and less conversions. Although technically you could get a higher quality audience, you might lose out on potential customers, and these audiences have different goals and behaviors, so you might want to be targeting them differently. Okay, so they come from different parts of the marketing funnel. So our best bet here would be do one at a time. All right. For example, create a campaign centered solely on the in-market audience. And then if we want to do an affinity group targeting, we can create a separate ad group or campaign geared towards other targeting options. So best not to mix and match these or select from each. Remember, in the instruction video, you can select one and then have these little dashes means that it's not selected. So you can just select whatever is relevant for your ad group, okay? Okay, so for our next one, this is the affinity audience. Here, your focus is thinking about your persona's interests and hobbies. Compared to our in-market persona who is in the middle of the marketing funnel, this type of audience is more within the top of funnel. They're not in market specifically searching for products. So instead, with the affinity groups, you're actually trying to reach users who've just shown some sort of interest in something, even though they're not actively looking to purchase something. In other words, you can look at people who share common interests, such as sports, travel, or food. And in the simulation, you've been given these options. So some personas you'll find are going to be really easy to target in this group. For example, Seaside Sally, you could easily target her with the beach enthusiast category. And if you don't see anything relevant for your persona, you can also choose to keep these blank and not opt to target with the affinity group. So remember that. If you have a persona and you can't find an affinity group that's relevant, don't just click something there and do your best guess if it doesn't make sense, right? Base your decisions always on your product and your personas and choose one at a time. Okay. Next, we have demographic targeting. And here you can serve your ads according to age, gender, and parental status. Here, unlike my advice in the previous slides, to you about not choosing more than one type of audience option at a time within an ad group, you can definitely choose to do an audience option and a demographic option. However, be careful that you don't just choose too many options randomly so that your audience becomes too narrow, right? You can keep some of these blank if they don't apply, or you're worried about leaving out your persona from the ads if they overlap into other categories. So the simulation starts off by offering us ages, and it again could be pretty easy to determine, such as with Back to School Mindy, who pretty much falls into one category, right? This is not perfect though, because if you do target the 18 to 24 group category, your ad is not going to show up to Back to School Mindy personas who are 25 or 26 years old. What this means is that you miss out on part of your persona. So you'll have to test this effect by creating separate ad groups and more A/B testing, okay? Sometimes it can be very difficult to target your personas with age. Okay, so for example, up-and-comer Raj, who falls in the middle of these two categories, so it's less clear, right? I would therefore recommend not targeting Raj using the age targeting options because you're going to not get as many impressions. You're going to miss out on Raj because he's not in, both of you. You can only select one at a time if you're doing it in that ad group. So if you did want to select both of them, if you did want to target it by age, again, create two ad groups, same ad copy and everything like that. Do one where it's 18 to 24. Sorry, not 18 to 20. Yeah, 18 to 24 because that's the 24 to 28 category, and one that's 25 to 34 because that will take over the 25 to 28 category. Okay, so that way you don't lose out on Raj. Yes, you're going to have some that is not Raj, on those outliers, but at least you get the full picture of Raj. So you do want to think about that. And of course, you can prove me wrong. You can test it out yourself. Maybe you get different results from me. That's why this campaign is so fun. You get to test it. So, try and take your best guess on what's working based on what you're learning in your textbook, in your notes, and in your own research, right? All right, so we've talked about age. The other thing that you can do is gender. All right, so here again, we could see that it's pretty easy sometimes. We have Back to School Mindy. She is female. We can see that here. Then we can target whether they are a parent. Again, this could be pretty clear, such as with Seaside Sally, who we clearly know is a parent, right? It would be super easy for us to say yes, and we're going to get Seaside Sally. But sometimes it might not be so clear and it might not be so easy. For example, if you're trying to target Back to School Mindy, okay, who we know is single, but we don't actually know for sure if she's a parent. If we select unknown, this would leave out back to school Mindy personas who are definitely not parents, or it would leave out personas who are definitely parents, right? We don't actually know if she's a parent or not. It's possible. So we could narrow our target market too much if we did that. We could take an estimated, like a good guess and assume based on her demographic and age that she's not a parent. But again, testing is going to give you the best results. So either leave it blank and don't target her based on persona since you don't know for sure, or try and create an ad group where you are saying yes, you're saying no, you're saying unknown, and see which one is getting the best results, right? What is your click-through rate? What is your conversion rate? What are your impressions? How is it performing? And then choose the one that's performing best and pause the ones that aren't, okay? Next, we want to actually create our display ad. And we'll do this for each ad group. So if you are doing A/B testing like I recommended, and you're trying out different types of ad group targeting options with one persona, I would recommend using the exact same ad copy across each so that you can check for proper comparison. So you'll need to create an ad for each ad group. So let's look at these options together, starting with our URL. This is where the user ends up when they click on your display ad. So let's assume this was your display ad. This is not necessarily a good display ad, it's just a display ad, right? And a user clicks on it. If they click on it, then they're going to land on a landing page. And if we selected a landing page that was not relevant, such as for messenger bags, doesn't really match the backpack one, right? Then our customer is not going to be happy because they won't know why they landed on this irrelevant page. So make sure you select the correct URL based on what you're promoting. Okay, second, you want to select your product image. Again, you want to choose what is relevant to what you're promoting. Don't just select something because you're like, ooh, that looks fancy, that's pretty, or that, oh, I think the customer will like that one. You know, only choose it because it's relevant to your landing page. So this simulation is not about design, and you're not actually choosing based on colors and things like that. You're choosing based on your customer personas and the data, okay? So below that, you're going to work on your ad copy. And in your ad copy, you want three things. So you need to attract attention, communicate a value proposition, and invite action. Okay, so we can do that in our headlines and our descriptions. And remember I said you want three things. So the first is to attract attention. Now, if you were doing this outside of the simulation, you would have some options about the design, like you would select things that look nice, right? But here you want to be thinking about your headlines standing out and being concise, right? At a glance, it catches my eye. You do want to select the correct image, right? If you choose something that is not relevant, then they're not going to go for it. Unfortunately, you don't have any ability to change colors or bold words in the simulation. That is something that you would maybe do in other display ad campaigns in real life, but you know, you can think about other ways to attract attention with your headlines, making it concise, making it catchy, and kind of asking questions. Think about attention getters. Look up online for some tips on writing effective attention-grabbing headlines. Okay, the second thing you want to do is your value proposition. Okay, this should be communicated in as few words as possible because most internet users are going to ignore the ad. So our best bet is to get them to understand our value proposition. And, you know, hopefully if they read it by accident, which is most likely going to happen, they need to see it in 5 words or less. All right, more words than that, and you're usually not going to see it as well because remember, the person in the display ad is being targeted and they were probably on, you know, the New York Times, they're reading a news article. They're not there to see your ads, right? That's not their goal, but they do see an ad on their peripheral vision and you need to get their attention with something that they care about. So, you know, if they see the words free shipping, backpacks, and that's on their mind, then that might make them want to click on it. So think about what matters to them and make sure that it's also still aligned with your landing page. So you're still kind of following those essentials that you learned in your search ads and you're applying it here as well. Okay. Finally, you also want to have a call to action because you want to generate a click and get the customer to actually go to your landing page, because otherwise you're not going to get any conversions. So invite action, use words that tell them to do something. Okay, so we have our ad copy essentials. Here we can kind of look in and see what happens with them. So when it comes to headlines, there are two crucial points that you need to keep in mind. I have this little example here. It's not necessarily a good headline or not, but I do want you to know something based on this example, and that is, first, Google Ads will not display both headlines simultaneously. Okay, so for example, here we see backpack design for students, and this is the only headline that was shown. It didn't show all of my headlines, right? They're not all here. I don't see click here for free shipping. So you have to think about that as well. It doesn't show all of your headlines. Second, Google Ads may occasionally omit your description. Okay, so such as here, we have no description shown in this preview, even though I created 3 descriptions. So what does that mean? Well, it means that no matter which headline gets chosen for your display ad, there's no assurance that it will be actually accompanied by your description. And that means that you need to ensure that your headlines are sufficiently informative by themselves. Okay, both headlines should effectively convey the distinct value of your business or the offer that you're trying to promote. Okay. All right. So let's go one by one. Let's start with our long headline. What are some things you need to know? First, you must include a long headline for each ad campaign. This is required with the little star, right? You can only have one long headline per campaign or per ad that you have here. And you can only have 90 characters in this long headline. There's no specific minimum character requirement for the headline. So if you would prefer a shorter character headline, such as 20 characters, that's acceptable too. So 90 or less, right? That's what your character requirement is. The long headline may or may not appear alongside your ad description copy. So here, find your backpack for school. It's not there, right? They might not show up, and that's just something to consider. When crafting the content for a long headline, remember to follow the best practices I just discussed. Also, you can try to capture their attention with your brand name, right? Your product features, which remember we were able to see when we clicked on the resources tab. Your unique selling points, which we highlighted in our landing pages, and compelling taglines. So consider, put yourself in the audience shoes and think about their pain points, motivations. Where are they in the sales funnel? Are they awareness, interest, desire, or action? And create a headline that resonates with that part of the sales funnel, right? If they're awareness stage, they're not ready to buy. So don't say buy now. If they are, going towards the action stage, then yes, you could say buy now, but you have to think about that. And I gave you some tips about where they are in the funnel when I spoke about what you're targeting, right? If you're doing the in-market or affinity, right? So think about those. All right. So, if for example, you remember that affinity targeting is used more for the top of funnel awareness, since it's just looking at interest compared to in-market targeting, which was our middle of the funnel traffic because they've actually shown an interest in products. Okay, so knowing this, you might have different approaches to target each of these target groups. So keep those in mind. All right, so second, we have our short headlines. Here, you want to aim for a minimum of 3 headlines, but you can, by clicking add, go up to 5. Okay, each headline should not exceed 30 characters. And you want to make sure, just like you also do with your long headline and descriptions as well, but you also want to make sure that you're watching out for your punctuation, your capitalization, your spell check. You want to make sure that everything is pristine, right? It's looking neat, because if you have poor grammar, you have poor spelling, you have poor capitalization or other design features, what it does is it hurts your credibility and it looks like a scam and nobody wants to click on it. Okay, so don't forget that when you're going through everything. Another thing you want to consider is many businesses include their brand name as one of the headlines. So this could be a viable option for you to consider testing. You could feature the brand name alongside the, the backpack and you can enhance the brand recognition that way. Because remember, some of these display ads are just about gaining awareness because you can't get a sale unless your customers are aware of you. Okay. You can also think about incorporating brand taglines, the product names itself, your unique selling proposition, and keeping it short because remember, you do have a short character limit. Okay. And finally, we have our ad descriptions. These play a significant role, unless you're using a full long headline. But here's some things you need to know about it. First, you must include at least one description, but you can have up to 5. Okay. And each description can have a maximum of 90 characters with no minimum character requirement, just like the other one. It could be less than 90, right? And it's also important to note that the ad descriptions may not be present in all ad sizes and formats. Just like here, we didn't have it visible, right? So when crafting your ad copy, remember your headline should capture the user's attention. The description should provide context and go a little bit deeper into the why they should click. So this could include you highlighting some of the key product features about the backpack that are benefiting the customer, you showing the different product options that are available. Maybe you're promoting a special offer such as the free shipping or the free returns. And your primary objective here is just to inform the user, why they should click and what they're going to gain or benefit from doing so. So keep your ad descriptions, keep your short headlines, keep your long headline. It still should all be concise and to the point, right? We don't want it wordy because remember, whoever is, on the New York Times website or whatever website they're on, reading an article, this stuff is to the side. They didn't come to see that stuff, right? It's a display ad that you have to grab their attention for. And so that's what you want to consider when you are designing this ad copy. All right. And you'll want to repeat this entire process that I've discussed for each ad group and campaign that you work on in this round. Good luck. Okay, so just a quick look at the actual Stukent and what we're doing in here. I've already given you an overview all about display ads, but I do want to remind you that you should still be working on your search ads as well. And that's that's explained to you in your inbox, so you can see that you still want to continue improving your search ads, but now you want to maybe adjust things because you've been told that you want to increase revenue. So you may need to go back into your campaigns and just make sure, here my campaign goal was website traffic. Perhaps since I'm doing revenue now, I want to see what happens if I adjust this to sales. And I can see, if I save that, I can also go in and double check on how I was performing with my backpack search. I can maybe double check that I had some calls to action that was relevant for kind of converting into sales and revenue. I can make sure that I'm maybe promoting value propositions that relate to revenue. So perhaps I need to offer free returns. Maybe that's going to be the call to action or the value proposition that gets somebody to click, yes, add to cart. I feel confident now. I want to go in and still maintain and adjust my keywords. So remember, you have these options to check all about your keywords, how they're doing. If you see any that are performing in the negatives, you want to go and double check. Perhaps you had in your results, when you click on your results, you can see how they were performing in search ad quality indicators. So if you had any that were good or fair, you can check your bid quality, your ad relevance, or your page relevance. Or you can determine, no, everything was good. It's just not the right keyword for me, or, this isn't working. So you can either pause it or adjust it and make sure that it actually is a relevant keyword for you. So, if I pause these that are currently giving me negative profit, I definitely want to be making some sort of profit here. Or if it's giving me 0 conversion rate, right, that's not really going to be as effective for me. So I'm just going to go ahead and pause them because I want to see what happens there. But I've also gone in when I wasn't with you and adjusted some of them as well. So I left a few that were 0, and in those I went in and actually said like, hey, how can I adjust this and make it better? Okay, so to go ahead and do that, think about anything that's in the negative. You need to optimize that. Another thing you can do is allocate or reallocate your budget. So in your campaigns, you can also, again, see which ones are performing better. And my duffel is performing the worst, right? I do have a conversion rate and I do have a relatively decent click-through rate, but my profits are just not as effective. And my return on, my return on investment is not working out for me. And if I look at the duffel, I can see perhaps why. And that is because the retail price and the production cost per unit, this is about $36 in profit that I'm making compared to here where I'm making about $57. So I'm much more profitable to work on the backpack. Also, who was my customer persona for the duffel? Let me see. Duffel here. So below average disposable income, right? I only had one main persona that was interested in the duffel that I chose, and they don't even have that much money, and the product isn't even giving me that much profit. So it's not surprising, and knowing that, perhaps I can either choose to pause an entire campaign, or I can go in and adjust my daily budget for this campaign, right? You can make those decisions so that you can optimize and get a better result. And so, maybe I adjust this to, remember, I want to use my whole budget. So, I can adjust this so that I'm using my entire budget for the campaign. Now, you don't only have to pause campaigns. So if I did want to pause this one, I could, but you could also go in and say, you know what, maybe my problem is that I'm not getting enough impressions, right? Maybe I can look at, how many clicks I'm getting and some other elements. And I can say, well, maybe it's because I don't have enough keywords. So I can go into my keywords, maybe my keyword research and planning, and my duffel was struggling. So I want to double check, did I have enough keywords that were good competition and average monthly searches? Maybe I'm not making enough money because I was spending too much on the bids. So I'm buying too expensive of a keyword. Like this is $5.40, right? So, maybe I just want to double check on my bidding, right? Any of these suggested bidding, were there any that were too expensive? And I think I've already taken some out, but you want to adjust that and take away any keywords that weren't working for you. The other thing to mention that I did not talk about in my kind of lecture opening was this medical leave help. And here you have the legacy product data, but you've also been given some new product lines. So I would recommend you go in and choose one for this round. Try and do one each time. So your big focus is the American Dream product backpack, but you can also try bringing in a legacy product, an OG product, or a switch product. So you might do you don't want to cannibalize your American Dream backpack and compete with the Bowie legacy backpack. So maybe you don't do a backpack, but you do try out the luggage, right? Luggage might be nice because it's pretty expensive. And if you look at your personas for luggage, who is our luggage? City Hopper Sue has above average disposable income. And remember from our data that our females were more likely to buy and things like that. So, you can try and create a campaign for the Switch product line, one or both. It's up to you how you want to do it. And you can do your display ad campaign there. who do you want to target? So I would recommend City Hopper Sue. You could even do a search ad campaign if you feel like it for this, right? So, because you already have the landing pages, so you don't have to create a new landing page. You will just find the landing page. These are also links, so we'll go there. And you will then click on and kind of review all this information. So you'll look for some keywords, you'll look for the value proposition, and you will create your ads around these landing pages. Okay, so go ahead, and I wouldn't put your entire campaign budget on that. I'm going to do it afterwards, another campaign, but I won't show you, me making it right now, because you have all the tools that you need to create a campaign. You've seen me kind of go over the basics of search ad campaigns. You've seen me go over the basics of your display ad campaigns. My main priority for you is practice, right? Just try things out with, put down on paper your predictions. What do you think might happen? Don't do it blindly. Like, actually go through and take some notes and think about, hey, I have these details, I have these metrics, I have these personas. How can I improve my previous campaigns? And before you click run simulation, double check everything, make sure your balance is complete. Remember, you can also pause ads. So if you've done any A/B testing, you can also test whether one was having higher profit. Remember, A/B testing should specifically only change. I didn't show you in the other video, but if you are doing an A/B test, you wouldn't want to change multiple items. You would just change one thing at a time, because it's A or B, and you would see which one, performed better. And then you would be able to, pause the one that wasn't as effective, or, maybe adjust your other ad campaigns to emulate that, and so forth. So if I, for example, here have one that is giving me negative profits, right? Maybe that's why my duffel wasn't effective, because I had one ad which was not performing well, right? I'll pause that one now. And maybe my ad groups I can look at if any of them were not as effective. And my display ads, which I've created now, I'm about to find out how they perform. So I'll click run simulation since I've gone through everything. But make sure you also add in the legacy product line or the switch luggage, or whichever you've chosen because of the medical leave example. Okay, so good luck, and I will see you in the next video.